ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the world's most watched professional wrestling news program, the international phenomenon known as the Pro Wrestling Report. Dameon Nelson sitting here alongside the man they call Meathead.
Thank you.
A nice, freshly clean shaven Meathead. Do you go somewhere and have them do that, or do you do it yourself?
Well, I tell you what, there's this woman, and her name is, I don't want to give her name out because she'll probably be embarrassed because I get it all over.
I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a happy ending?
When I'm so fresh and so clean, so fresh and so silky, so fresh and so smooth, so baby oiled fresh.
Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Thanksgiving weekend, and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report. Big news coming across the wires as of late, most of it surrounding TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, which presented Genesis on pay-per-view just last Sunday. Let's talk a little bit about that. Meathead, did you get a chance to watch the show?
Visually, no.
A title win for Abyss. Abyss defeats Sting, and he is the new NWA champion.
Abyss won the match, did not defeat Sting.
Abyss wins the match, does not defeat Sting, is the new NWA champion.
Correct.
Good move, bad move, impartial.
I'm impartial to the fact that it wasn't made known that the NWA Heavyweight Championship will be lost if you get DQ'd. Who knew?
It was a rule. They just didn't mention it very often. It's like the over-the-top rope rule. It only comes into play when it needs to come into play for storyline purposes.
I'm okay with Abyss winning a belt. I wondered out loud, for the last year and a half that I've been watching TNA. Abyss, when is he going to get a title shot? But, unfortunately, is it going to be a Kane title reign?
You say Kane title reign, 1998 King of the Ring when he won the belt and then lost it the next night on Raw.
What?
Sting's contract status. It is widely known that when Sting signed on in January of 2006, it was a one-year deal. His goal to help the company achieve success. He has done so. It doesn't show up very often when it comes to tapings and is not really an integral part of the storylines. Some say Sting is as motivated as he's ever been. As you see, he's been working out in the best shape he's been in years. But is this the reason, perhaps, that the title was taken off of him as we see Sting being taken out of the storylines of TNA?
Protection. That's what it is. It's protection, so there's a fluid motion of storyline.
Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle was one of the other highlighted matches on that card of Genesis. A good match, not a great match. Certainly was not the dream match of the decade as they were giving as the moniker that they gave it. But Samoa Joe gets his first defeat in 17 months at the hands of Kurt Angle. Meathead, was that the direction that they should have gone in that very early matchup between these two stars?
No, and I think I alluded to it on our last broadcast. What they should have done is use this as the beginning of a nice long stretch. You could have had these two going at each other for months. The fact that Kurt Angle has now just walked in and ended Samoa Joe's streak.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Like that.
Yeah. Just ended his streak. The fact that happened, what's that do Samoa Joe now? You killed Samoa Joe.
Well, in the TNA taping that followed the pay-per-view, there is a match made for the next pay-per-view coming up in December. I believe December 10th is the date for TNA. It is Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle, as long as, leading up to that point, they don't touch each other. It's a stipulation that Kurt Angle laid out.
Sounds kind of funny, if you know what I mean.
Touch each other in a physical sense.
Oh.
In a professional wrestling physical sense.
Thank you. You brought her back around.
So the storyline progression is that these two will have another match, and maybe Joe takes the next one.
But so what? I mean, do you feel me on this? So what? I can understand if it was DQ, then to go to another match. If it was tag match, and then to go to another. You just gave away the finish in the first match.
But do you DQ a match that's been hyped so much? Would fans in general have been disappointed if there had not been a clean pin?
What if there was a DQ involved by somebody else? I mean,
maybe Tyson Tomko, the latest addition to the TNA roster.
He's definitely got the ink.
And realigned with Christian.
Yeah, he's definitely got the ink to be in TNA.
TNA debuted on Spike last Thursday night. It was a 2-hour season premiere, and in case you didn't know, and in case you didn't hear Mike today and Don West say it 74,000 times, it is the biggest event and the historical moment of TNA's graduation to broadcast television in prime time slot. The show itself, 2 hours long. You think they could have slowed down the pace a little. However, they do defend that by saying they are total nonstop action. I found the show to be great, but dizzying at times. I found the barbed wire steel cage match to be nothing but a bloody spot fest. Christian did excel in that match, in my opinion, but the 2-hour show, don't know if it did what it needed to do to put TNA on that map.
No, and the one show wasn't going to do it. One show wasn't going to do it at all. I was just disappointed that I didn't get to hear the announcement from Eric Young.
He tried several times throughout the broadcast. The pace of the show, like I said, and it was defined by an early angle that was demonstrated between Kip James and Mr. Armstrong, BG James. They are going to battle with Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels and Triple H in the WWE. We've seen it before. They are playing an outsider / NWO type role. Again, we've seen it before. The reason it worked before was because it was 10 years ago. And the shows were head-to-head. There was truly a battle. What is the battle between TNA and WWE?
I've been thinking about this one for a few weeks. And thinking about the point that you brought up in the side and the angle that you stand behind. Where you say there is no battle, there is no war, there is no competition. That's not true. The fact that wrestling fans in general now talk about TNA like it's there, like it's grown, like it's become one of the feds. It doesn't matter that they're head-to-head. It doesn't matter that they're, stealing wrestlers from each other. It is a war now. It's a war for the wrestling fans' viewership, their TV ratings. It's a war for their dollars. It's a war for their attention.
So the fans are perceiving it as a war. TNA's perceiving it as a war. What do you think WWE's stance on the situation is?
From the man? From VKM?
A lot of people try to speculate what's going through Vince's head and what Vince thinks. And Vince would say...
I'm not saying Vince personally. I'm thinking Vince as a head of the company.
I think that the company in general, is there any directional changes that we will see or have seen that are a direct result of TNA's debut on Spike TV?
Zero. He knows it. He recognizes it. He realizes it's there, but also does not consider it a threat.
Is it real competition? Is it real competition, the fact that they're on 3 days separate of each other?
Yes, it's competition. It doesn't matter what kind of competition or where they're on in the broadcast lexicon. It's competition.
Ooh, lexicon.
It's competition because, again, it has the wrestling fans' attention. So that's why it's competition. We're talking about this and we're talking about this. The moment that Monty Brown was announced as signed by WWE on their website, wrestling fans are like, they never mentioned his TNA stint. How come that didn't happen? I wonder if it's a slight. It's competition. It's got people talking.
And when you're number one, and clearly number one, you serve no benefit to mentioning the competition.
Correct.
And that's what WWE did in 96 when they were still on top. And many will say that strategy may have failed. And that's what they're doing now. The more they recognize...
Their lack of action in 96 is what made them fail.
Oh, the Action Zone was on in 96.
The lack of action, quick action.
Oh.
The lack of a response. I mean, it took DX till 98, 99 to actually start doing anything. Am I right?
Late 97 was when we had the D-Generation X pay-per-view from the East Coast, which, a lot of stuff happened on that pay-per-view. Ken Shamrock was in an Intercontinental Championship match. Owen Hart returned as Angry Owen just a month after his brother Bret had left. So, it was around that time, late 97, early 98, and I think WrestleMania 14 and the events after that with Triple H taking over DX really defined that era.
That was the day after
D-Generation
WrestleMania
X.
14,
yes.
Where somebody lost his smile and his back.
Well, he was legitimately injured, was Shawn Michaels, or this is that Hickenbottom guy that they're talking about on TNA.
Kiss my bottom.
Back to the beginning question. Should this angle be one that's a focal point of TNA, or does it just make them seem like the bastard stepchildren of wrestling?
This won't be a focal point of TNA. This is just something for Kip and BJ to do.
Does it just make you laugh saying those names?
Kip and BJ?
Kip and BJ.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen the movie already.
What movie is that, Meathead?
Or slip him a B, or slip her a BJ, or slip him a BJ, or something like that.
We want to know what you guys think about...
It was the opening act of that Fluffer movie when that came out.
We want it, Fluffer. We want to know what you guys think about that angle, VKM versus VKM. And again, look at...
Mafia.
We're talking about it, so it's got to be newsworthy. But I want to know what you, the fans, have to say about that particular situation. Hop on over to the website if you're not over there, pwrshow.com. Send us an email message, and we'll be getting to those emails on Monday's edition of PWR Daily with Frank Cosentino.
Another thing I want to throw into that kind of mix, and I think we could segue off of it, is that one thing that's really been bothering me about we'll call it the wrestling community. I guess we're a part of the wrestling...
The peeps out there?
We're a part of the wrestling
community.
Because
we are fans.
We are fans. Adding more people to stables or groups doesn't make them better.
Wasn't the NWO at its strongest when it had about 40 members?
No, that was when it was at its weakest.
Oh.
They had to break off into 3 factions.
The Latino faction.
No, that's 4th.
The Wolfpack.
It went NWO Black and White. It went NWO Wolfpack. It went NWO
Dead.
LWO. I mean, that's what made it worse. Now, granted, I hate DX. I think they should go away.
They've been much funnier lately. Last 2 weeks of Raw has been comical TV.
That's not what bothers me.
Okay.
The funny, it's always going to be there.
Is the money in the funny?
The money's always in the funny because Vince McMahon thinks the money is in the funny on selling T-shirts about how Vince loves cock.
Chickens.
Whatever. It doesn't matter about the funny. What it matters is you're alienating the wrestling fan who's sick of seeing DX. The ones that are over 18 years old that don't want to see a DX anymore.
Lita, on Raw this past Monday night, announces her retirement from the wrestling business. In a heartfelt promo cut in the ring, she says some very poignant things, and quite frankly, the most involved we've seen Lita from an emotional standpoint in quite a while. Lita announces that after the Survivor Series, her title match with Mickie James, she will be retiring from the business after redefining what women's wrestling was. There is no doubt she did indeed do that. Sable did it. Trish Stratus did it. Lita did it.
Stop.
Sable did.
No, I mean, stop right there. This is a work, boys and girls.
You could have gone on record with that statement there,
Right
son?
here and right now. Think about how it was done. Lita came out and said, I'm going to retire.
No offense to our mentally handicapped viewers.
I'm going to retire.
Communities.
Yeah. Sorry.
Especially our viewers on television in Nome, Alaska.
I'm going to retire right after the pay-per-view match. I've done everything in the business. Wouldn't that be the heel mocking Trish Stratus?
Could be. And I did think about that when she did it. Maybe Trish comes back, and maybe it was all a work, and maybe we then have a elevation of the women's division of WWE. Doubtful.
That's why I got
possible.
you right there. Stop.
Lita does have a band. The band is called the Luchagores, or the Lucagores, or something like that, the Luchagores. She wants to focus more time on that band. Now, your favorite wrestler, Chris Jericho, little boy, did the same thing. Took some time off, didn't come back.
Okay.
Everyone thought he was going to be
That's
coming
okay.
back to focus on his band Fozzy.
But she says that she's retiring. She's coming back, and it's going to be to work with Trish.
Do you think there's general discontent on her end, and now that you brought her up, Trish Stratus' end, with the direction that the Diva
Absolutely.
formula is in WWE?
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what you can bring in the ring, it matters what you can bring on the top shelf.
And that could... absolutely. And obviously, Lita's carrying, heavy heat upstairs, and we don't know why those clothes stay on. We try.
It's a scientific wonder. There should be a Modern Marvels episode about that.
I guarantee you, every one of you are watching the TV going, I'm going to make that top come off. I swear it's coming off, and those things are popping out. Or is it just me? Is it just me? Am I the one looking underneath the TV trying to look up her shirt?
Lita, I think, will be legitimately gone from professional wrestling after Survivor Series. What else does she have to do? She makes valid points. She's been bored, clearly bored, over the last several months, and you've seen her being detached from Edge, in case you didn't notice. Is she really needed?
The only other emotional outbreak she's had in the wrestling business is when, the fans started booing her once the story of her and Matt had
And calling her random other names.
Yeah. Where she was clearly just shook. She was supposed to be a face with Kane, and the crowd just tore her apart.
You screwed Matt. Well, she actually screwed Edge, but screwed Matt too. But
she probably did them both together. You see those fun bags?
The Survivor
There's room
Series
for both
is
of
coming
those
up
guys
this
in there.
Sunday on pay-per-view, a unique concept. WWE is touting it as Raw versus SmackDown versus ECW, but in reality, it's just a cluster of all those brands together.
Thank you.
In a series of traditional Survivor Series matchups.
They're distinctly different, huh? Continue.
Solid match potential in those matchups, though. I wonder, though, how they came up with these pairings. There are those who speculate that since they announced the matches on the website, 2 reasons for that. First of which, they didn't have time to do it on TV to make it worthwhile. Second, driving more traffic to the website. And actually, a third reason is not to have to explain why these people are together.
Okay.
CM Punk, DX, and the reuniting of the Team Extreme.
That bothered me again. That sure did bother me, too.
Matt and Jeff Hardy, who you saw on ECW this past
second.
Tuesday, which takes all the sting out of the pay-per-view reuniting.
The second I heard that, oh, they said Team Extreme.
Undertaker has a cracked rib. He's scheduled for a match with Mr. Kennedy, Ken Kennedy.
What's his
at
name
this
again?
Sunday's paper. His name is Ken.
It's Mr. Kennedy!
All hail!
Kennedy!
You're gonna blow somebody's eardrum out with that. I've already got problems on this side of my.
What?
I can't.
You sure it's not the gray hairs that you got underneath your chin there?
Undertaker will still be in the match on Sunday. Will still go, if you will.
Of course he will.
And but it's a first blood match. At its nature, it is a violent match. What kind of concessions will the Undertaker have to take in that matchup, and will it still be a watchable, believable?
It will not be
match?
watchable. It will not be believable because the Undertaker is injured. He will gig himself, and that'll be it.
Roddy Piper is out of Survivor Series. Kidney stones are the reason.
Ooh.
Replacing him with his brand new beautiful T-shirt, Ron Simmons.
Damn.
One standout star on this past Monday's Raw, which we'll talk more about TV offerings over the last couple weeks in a moment. One standout star. Say what you want about the Spirit Squad, but Kenny is continuing to impress, not just with his in-ring abilities, but with his out-of-ring abilities each and every week. Pay this kid some attention. He is young. He is the next big thing, if you will, in WWE. Is it true? Is it a valid direction to go in to focus on the one known as Ken Doane, who is in Mickey James's
Roast beef. You see how he did that there? He knew what he wanted to say, but he made me say it just by doing his thing. I think it's fine.
If we were broadcasting, I'd be the play-by-play straight man. You'd be the colored man.
Hey, don't make me go Kramer on you. It's fine. It's really fine. And Kenny, is showing... Kenny is showing talent. And because he's stopping that, and you don't really hear him doing that as much anymore, it's giving him more credit. Am I right?
He's a prodigy. There are those who have
He's
said...
a fire starter?
World Wrestling Entertainment is going to be holding tryouts if you're
He went that way,
interested.
and then he went that way.
There will be 3 sessions coming up for the next 3 months. In December, it's going to be in New Jersey. East Rutherford, New Jersey is where I was going with that, at the Continental Airlines
Who's running
Arena.
that one? Bam Bam Bigelow? The
Whatever
Triad?
happened to Bam? Bam.
The Triad?
He who headlined WrestleMania 11 with Lawrence Taylor.
Is Canyon and DDP going to be there too?
It's at the Continental Airlines Arena on December the 28th. On January 20th at the New Orleans Arena, not damaged by Hurricane Katrina. There will be WWE tryouts again. And then the final session, scheduled as of right now, is going to be on February 28th in Auckland, New Jersey.
Say it again.
Auckland, New Jersey.
That's not Oakland, it's Auckland.
New Jersey. If you're interested, folks, head up on over to WWE.com. There is some preliminary information that you need to conduct before attending those tryouts. But it's your opportunity to get that next big break in WWE.
Good.
Recent television. I actually took a little bit of time out of my schedule to watch SmackDown last Friday night. November 16th offering of SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, what a great show. SmackDown put out a phenomenal wrestling show last Friday night.
Where am I?
The main event with King Booker and Batista in a tag team matchup went a good 20-25 minutes, did that main event. Great match. Great match.
SmackDown is still unwatchable, in my opinion.
When's the last time you've given it a shot?
Every Friday night.
And you didn't find this past week's show watchable?
I'm still having a hard time watching it.
I did sleep through the Paul London match. Even with your boy, Mr. Ken Kennedy?
I'm really, really bothered. And this is
Boogeyman opening the show?
This is going to upset you. I'm really, really bothered with listening to JBL. It upsets me listening to that man talk.
He's great on a stick.
He contradicts himself 4 to 5 times
He
in each
speaks
match.
from his heart.
And then he switches it. I want you to listen to what JBL says.
I listen to the commentary guy.
It changes. And then he changes his opinion again. And then he changes it again.
He
and
does
Cole,
bitch out
not,
Michael Cole more often than need be done, though.
And I'm not done. Michael Cole has even called him out on spots in the match.
There's more of a... Jerry Lawler and JR back in the day had an antagonistic type relationship. And
that's
it worked
because
for
Jerry
them.
was supposed to be the heel.
Exactly. And it worked for them. On SmackDown, we've got just punking going on from JBL to Cole, and Cole reacting to that. Or, at one point, JBL told him to just shut up and sit there, and he did.
JBL does not... I don't think he belongs in that chair. I really don't. And I don't know who to replace him with.
JBL did get back in the ring on the recent European tour. Rumor has it that come early next year,
He'll be
JBL
out of that
will be
chair.
back wrestling, not on a full-time basis, but on an extreme part-time basis, and a big part of WrestleMania 23. Raw this past Monday from November 20th. Baltimore, Maryland was the site. It opens up with one of the most unique openings I've ever seen on Raw. Some say a very hot opening. Now, here's the issue. When the community likes Raw, I don't like it. When I like Raw, the community doesn't like it. Am I out of touch?
Here's the problem with Raw, this previous Raw. How can it get more predictable? When the first team comes out, oh boy, here comes the rest of them. It'll be here, it'll be here, it'll be...
But from all 4 sides of the arena.
Duh. Where are they going to come from? The same group? They're going to fight. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And here's the problem with WWE right now. Raw gets all this attention. Okay? All the hot stuff is happening in Raw. It will always happen.
It's live. It's unpredictable. It's raw. It's uncut. It's unedited.
SmackDown and ECW are the ugly, retarded stepchildren in the back of the house that you never get to see when the family comes over. They're the ones told to play in their room.
And
Yeah,
do they
you need to turn that
do they
off.
look out of place when
SmackDown and ECW? Absolutely. They look out of place on Raw. On the adult show. On the big boy show.
Is that where the big boys play?
Apparently it is now.
The ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, the volleyball that is the Intercontinental Championship. Jeff Hardy going up against Johnny Nitro. What did you think of the match, Meathead?
It sure was a match. I don't have an opinion on it.
It was a ladder match. It was a standard ladder match. But what came out of that match was Johnny Nitro stepping up. And Johnny Nitro showing that he's not just this punk little wussy boy
From Tough Enough.
from Tough Enough, who is, Eric Bischoff's personal assistant. Because remember, that's when he came out to the Nitro music and all that stuff. Really stepping up was Johnny Nitro.
You didn't think
With
I had that.
standing drop kick off the top of the ladder to Jeff Hardy. A hard-fought matchup. We saw some new spots that we haven't seen in ladder matches before. But then again, we saw some of the old spots that we have seen before. Great match. Highlight of the card, no doubt, was that match. And the Intercontinental Champion is still Jeff Hardy walking out with the belt.
Cool.
The main event pitted the 4 captains of each Survivor Series team against each other.
I'll tell you what, when I watch Raw, I don't watch it live. I can't. I mean, it's just not the way my life works. I watch it sometimes on Tuesday afternoons, Tuesday nights, whenever. I scan right through the main event almost on a weekly basis.
It was a cluster. It was an okay match. What was troubling was at the very end. Normally, and Shawn Michaels touched on it in the opening promo when he said, everybody's out here, let's get in the ring and have the Royal Rumble right now. Well, count it. Each year there's been a Raw and a Royal Rumble. The final Raw before the Royal Rumble, you've had all these people in the ring with just a melee, and the fans have erupted. Gone crazy, gone mad,
But that's the problem. It's predictable. It's
Didn't
gonna
happen. Fans love it. You put 8 people in the ring all at once and just have a melee, a Pier 6, a real Donnybrook, if you will.
Slobber knocker.
And you've got yourself
We got a real
A
Pier
pop.
6er, a slobber
that
knocker.
crowd in Baltimore, historically famous for professional wrestling. That crowd was dead at the end of the night.
You know why? Because that's a WCW crowd, folks.
NWA crowd, folks.
I know.
Not the same thing.
I know. I still remember Starrcade 98, watching the camera pan through the crowd and seeing Stacy Keibler up in a raft just going,
She was what they call a...
plant.
Now, does WWE have to do that?
Yes, they do that. As a matter of fact, on the ECW show that emanated live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the individuals that were
For
dressed
the first time in
the
10 years,
individuals
he
that
is
were
right.
The individuals that were dressed in costume Plants. I won't name the plants, but they were plants. The Frankenstein or Einstein.
Why are you running the magic for the viewers at home? We don't do spoilers here.
And you just told me about the month's worth of TNA tapings. Shush. And
I told you about one newsworthy item from those.
And the fairy plants. Thank you. Have a nice day, buddy. Don't do that back to me. I'll probably end up in traction.
Folks, we've got some very important news regarding the PWR website. A couple of new features. We've got a new indie section. You guys have asked for it. We've delivered. See exclusive videos, news, and features on PWRshow.com, the new indie section, including our new Match of the Week feature, which replaces our Thursday edition of PWR Daily. Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, it's indie. It just died. Sorry.
Also, remember, there is an indie section of the forum. We will be bringing you much more news as it becomes available on the indie federations here on this very show. Now, the problem is, and the reason we haven't done so in the past, as a lot of you have asked, is most indie wrestling fans, including those of ROH and all the other big organizations, are internet marks. And what I mean by that is they already know what's going on, so we don't follow it as closely as we do the main organizations. That doesn't mean they're lesser. Quite frankly, I think that the indie organizations is where you should be spending your money, but that's neither here nor there. We will be bringing you more in the upcoming weeks. Again, remember the Thursday edition of PWR Daily is now the feature match of the week. You can see the final matchup of Egotistical Fantastico going up against Marco Cordova from a recent Mid-American Wrestling show on the current edition of Feature Match of the Week, with yours truly doing play-by-play commentary on that particular segment. As we said, we are partnered with Mid-American Wrestling out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin to bring you those matchups. Mid-American Wrestling, the place where such stars as CM Punk and Kennedy, Sean Daivari, Short Stack, and now Egotistical Fantastico, and Mike Venom Walker coming up through the ranks of Mid-American Wrestling where stars are born. And you can visit MidAmericanWrestling.com for more information. There's a couple of new additions to my very own D-list on the website. I saw one of the best movies in the history of movies. Have you seen it yet? Borat.
No, I will.
You have not seen Borat.
I haven't seen anything.
We've got exclusive video clips from the movie Borat, deleted scenes and scenes that you can't find anywhere else on PWRshow.com right now in the D-list. Make sure you hop on over and take a look.
The only video I've watched in the last few days is something off of YouTube, and it basically was Mr. Richards explaining that what he did was wrong, and the crowd laughing, and Jerry Seinfeld going, "Stop! It's not funny."
It's all about context. It's all about context. It's all about context.
Go right out of control.
Say that. It's all about context. That was good stuff to see. Check out Lisa Lampanelli, folks. If you get a chance, and if you haven't done so yet, we've also got comedy clips from Lisa Lampanelli, the Queen of Mean, on PWRshow.com as well.
All right, if we're putting Lisa Lampanelli up there, I want to see Tenacious D up there.
Yeah, I think they're all not so funny anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Ooh.
That is this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report News Show. We're going to go ahead and take a break for all of you watching us on TV in Milwaukee, Nome, and Topeka. And when we come back, exclusive features for you on TV. Make sure those of you watching on the World Wide Web that you tune in each day for PWR Daily. We'll have the Top 5 edition up on Wednesday, November 22nd. It will carry through the Thanksgiving weekend, and then we'll be back with your emails on Monday. Greatest of all time on Wednesdays, and then on Tuesdays, it is the Fantasy Match. Pro Wrestling, we're bringing you content just about every day on the World Wide Web. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time right here on the Pro Wrestling Report.